Moving on, Tony LaLonde writes, this is a fun one. I can't wait to hear you guys' answers to this. Do you believe that taxation is theft?
Neil, what do you think?
I'm happy to start this one.
Actually, no, I was just trying to get off of mute there for a second. You know, I do think it's theft to a certain degree. I think that that's, and we're getting into the entire anarcho-capitalist viewpoint of if any, you know, if all taxation, if taxation is theft, then what's the point of government? Government's a thief, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. I think that our version of libertarianism, the ones that we espouse to, you know, there is a role for government, okay? And as long as there's a role for government, then, you know, in my opinion, there is an element of taxation that comes with that. The challenge, of course, is that it is rife for abuse, and so there's this never-ending struggle of government wanting to take everything from you for its own purpose versus you keeping everything so that to do what you want. So I guess I don't have the best nuanced answer for it, but my heart tells me, yeah, it is theft, especially when I look at my paycheck and see how much they take every paycheck. But the fact is, I think that has to be balanced with the notion of if you do believe that some form of government is necessary, where is that line drawn? Obviously, I want it drawn. I want that government, I want that to be as small as possible and to be used for everybody and not just, you know, given for, you know, money taken from some to be given to others. And I do think in some specific cases where you're taxing people to benefit a special class, like say, oh, I don't know, a football stadium, I think that in that version, that is theft.
Yeah, my take on this is yes. In a word, yes. Mm-hmm. Taxation is theft. Because what theft is, what's theft? Theft is the initiation of force against an individual to seize their property without their consent. Mm-hmm. That's also a pretty good working definition of taxes. Right? So, yes, taxation is theft, and we live in a context we're far, far away from getting to the point as a culture where we can manifest a political system in kind of the Ayn Rand sense of laissez-faire capitalism, whereby government is funded through voluntary contribution in order to fulfill a very limited function of protecting individual rights. That's my ideal. I would love to see that happen. I'm also a realist. I understand that the culture that I live in is nowhere near willing to accept that philosophical ideal. And so we're going to have to tolerate some degree of taxation. So in that context where taxes are going to occur, where theft is going to occur in an institutional legalized form, then let's at least make sure that it's limited as it possibly can be, and that it's applied as fairly across the board to individuals as is possible. That should be the objective of Republican tax policy.
Right, and Walter, I think it's a good question. It's a very good question, but I think it's a purely academic exercise, right? Like from an academic standpoint, from the definition of these words, sure, it is theft. I think we'd all agree from a political science perspective, it is theft. So like Neil said, then the question remains, if all theft is immoral, if we assume all theft is wrong, then are we comfortable with no taxes whatsoever or some degree of tax? And I think that most of us in the Republican Party or almost any party, including the Libertarian Party, I think most of us would agree that some level of taxation is moral and is justifiable. Now, the question is, what do you do about it? Like you said, you're a realist. We're all realists. We don't think we're going to overnight pass a bill to get rid of all taxes, as great as that society may be. The question is, what do we look at? What institutions do we look at to reduce that tax burden on each individual where the government needs less and less and less? I think we look at defense. We definitely look at entitlement programs, right? Social Security, welfare, Medicare, these programs that suck most of your paycheck out go to these programs that are already failing on their own and won't be there when you need them. So if we look at those and reforming or eliminating those programs, then maybe we can get to a point where we can have the real discussion of, do we even need a tax system whatsoever? But until we get rid of these large entitlement programs and reduce the tax burden on that, I think that that's a tough conversation to have with any average Joe voter or average Joe partisan.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the RLC Minnesota YouTube channel. And if you'd like to join the fight for individual rights, limited government, and free markets, become a member of the RLC at rlcminnesota.org.